Welcome. DPR the man, that's who I am. And I told you I'd be doing this over on Facebook, on heresdathing.com page, and on my own personal page. This is Here's the Thing for November 5th, 2019. It's election day, and I'm not going to talk about the election. What I am going to do is tell you vote Republican. Right down the ticket. I don't care if it's for dog catcher. Vote Republican. Well, today's topic. How did that work out for you? And I've got two subtopics. Subtopic number one, paper to plastic. All you environmentalist wackos out there, and okay, before I go on, let me explain something. First, let me pause for a moment to adjust my camera, and then we'll talk. Okay, I adjusted my camera, now we'll talk. Now, first of all, I want to make it clear. Okay, our city, along with a number of others, requires that we recycle. And I have no problem with that. It isn't that difficult to have two separate containers, one for absolute trash and the other for recyclable plastics and paper and cardboard and metal, being aluminum cans and that. And I do that religiously, and I don't have a problem with it. It saves me garbage, trash bags. Okay? I'm saving money by doing that. And I'm sure so is the city and the landfills, and that's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But let's look at something real quick. Many years ago, seems like many years ago, all the environmentalists were up in arms and outraged and crazy over paper. Don't use paper, you're killing trees. We can't replace them. They'll never grow again. We can't use paper bags anymore for groceries. We can't use paper straws and paper cups. Okay, so we stopped using them. And we went over to plastic bags, plastic cups, plastic straws, plastic bottles for everything. No more cardboard and paper cartons. Everything's in plastic bottles now. Okay, and now let's see. What do we have a problem? Oh! My God, the environmentalist wackos are up in arms over tons and tons of plastic in the ocean and the waterways and the forests and the beaches and oh my God, it's a calamity. It's going to ruin our entire planet. How did that work out for you? Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you throw a piece of paper on the ground, which you shouldn't do, I mean, technically. But if you do that, eventually it rains, it snows, whatever, people walk on it, cars drive over it, whatever the case may be, and it dissolves. It goes away. It's no longer a problem. Okay? And all the people who cut trees replant trees. And over the course of time, 10, 20 years maybe, yeah, but if you keep doing it, it moves on, it adds up. You get more trees, hence more paper. Now, let's even go a step further. Okay, I'm old enough, unfortunately for me, to remember going to grade school in the 50s and the 60s. And we used to have something called a paper drive. And what would we do? Well, a big old semi-trailer would be parked out behind the school, and some of us would volunteer from time to time to stand there and get, when people would drive up with massive bundles of newspaper, and we'd throw it in the trunk. And the school would raise funds for various things by doing that. They don't do it anymore. But what were we doing back in the 1950s? I know it had to be prior to 1959 because the school I went to until I was in 4th grade was doing paper drives. Okay? They were recycling paper. Paper's been getting recycled for decades. And it still is. And they're still making products out of recycled paper. and recycled cardboard. Okay? It hasn't changed. We were doing it before the environmentalist wackos even existed, so far as we knew. So they eliminated paper, replaced it with plastic, which does not degrade. If you throw it on the ground, months later, assuming that all remains equal, it's still going to be there. It doesn't go away. It doesn't dissolve. I've seen biodegradable plastic foam packing peanuts, and that works. It turns into a green slime. I don't know what that does. But if I had my druthers, would I rather be looking at some paper that's going to dissolve eventually, or would I rather be looking at tons of trash in the Pacific Ocean that may never go away? And it is damaging the environment. Yeah, it's damaging the environment, but whose idea was it in the first place? It wasn't mine. The environmentalist wackos. You know, these people on the left, which includes the environmentalist wackos as a subset, consistently create massive problems. First, they dream up a problem, then they attack it, then they solve it, air quotes. And then the problem that the solution causes, they presume to want to solve that. And it's just like, it goes on and on and on. It's a continuing waterfall of problems, causing other problems, causing other problems. You can't make these people happy because they're consistently going to cause a problem that they have to address and try to tell me that it's my fault. Try to tell the American public that we're at fault for what happened. When we never, most of us anyway, never had anything to say about it, even cared about it. We were doing our thing. We were already recycling paper. We didn't want trash in our yards or our streets or our waterways. Ever. And we don't want it now. Okay? So the question is, with regards to the issue of paper versus plastic, how did that work out for you? Okay, that's my first topic, subtopic. Second subtopic, how did that work out for you? California is on fire again, and will be over and over again for countless ages. Why? Well, did it ever occur to you environmentalist wackos and climate change freaks that part of the ecology, the ecosystem of a forest or a grassland is to burn every now and then? It's going to do that. They've been doing that for eons before we were here, and it'll be doing that for eons after we're gone. Forests have a way of building up a bunch of junk at the bottom that they've got to get rid of. Now, I'm not trying to say that a forest has a personality or a life such as, sentient life. They don't. Nor does the planet. But all that aside, the forest needs to clean itself out. And nature has a way of doing that by starting fires via lightning, mainly. In fact, that's about the only way I can think of off the top of my head. And the underbrush and the dead wood is burned out and the forest revitalizes itself, and that's the cycle of things. That's the way it works. Now you look at California, and what have you got in California? Well, in California, you've got a great deal of desert. The only way they get water is to bring it in from the outside. Now in that desert, a whole lot of people have chosen to live. Fine. You want to pay the price for the water and what have you, and live in the desert, that's okay. That's your prerogative. To this point, it's still a free country unless the left gets their way, and it won't be anymore, but that's for another subject. California is a lot of desert. Dry desert. And they blame the 5-year drought for the forest fires, and they blame the 5-year drought on climate change, as if a desert isn't supposed to have droughts. A desert is a drought. You imbeciles. And the California desert is a fire waiting to happen. Why? Well, first of all, it's part of the normal cycle of things. That brush has to burn every now and then. Chaparral cleans itself out. It's Mother Nature. You can't fool Mother Nature. You remember that commercial? You can't fool Mother Nature. So let's go back for a while to the year 2003, August, if I recall correctly. One day I'm at work, and all of a sudden the power goes out. And I mean, not only did the power go out where I was, the power went out all the way from northeast Ohio, up through New England, into Ontario, for up to 2 days. The big blackout in 2003. Why did it occur? Well, they tracked it down, and they found out the reason why it occurred was because a power line in the Akron-Canton area of Ohio drooped down due to the heat, because it was very hot that August, drooped down due to the heat, and touched a tree limb, shorted out, caused a surge or lack of power in the system, which was immediately sent to a generator in Willoughby, Ohio on Lake Erie, which kicked in, which normally doesn't run. It burned out, caused a surge, and the whole power grid went down in the northeast of the United States. But it started out with a tree limb touching, a wire touching a tree limb. They're not supposed to do that. That's why when you look at power towers, you see wide swaths of empty land. The trees are cut out. The underbrush is clear. Okay? There's a reason for that. Now, we in the northern part of the country, northeastern part of the country, do not live in a desert. Therefore, we don't have the disadvantage of a lot of dry brush underneath our power towers. However, California does. But, we get to the how did it work out for you part. You environmentalist wackos put laws into effect in the state of California, the People's Republic of California, that, how do you say, caused a bigger problem than you solved? What you said was, okay, California, your forestry service cannot clear the underbrush, cannot cut out the dead trees. We don't want to disturb any unknown species that might be living in that underbrush or in those dead trees. We don't want to harm these unknown species. Well, excuse me, but we're the top species on the planet. We have a right to defend ourselves against wildfires. Because what does it mean when you have a bunch of dead trees and a bunch of dead underbrush underneath a power line? And it comes down. Why, by damn, you got a fire. So Pacific Gas and Electric has to take responsibility for the fact that their power lines cause fires. Well, maybe they are behind on keeping up with their infrastructure. That's an issue that needs to be addressed, okay? But let's say that isn't true. So what are they doing? In order to appease the People's Republic of California, they're shutting off the power to all the people in the area for days at a time, in order to prevent the power lines from being charged so when they fall, they won't start a fire. How do they know they're going to cut the power off when a power line decides to fall? How do they know the power line's not going to decide to fall when they turn it back on? Okay? All you got to do is clear out all that underbrush. I mean, what do the firefighters do when they're fighting the fire? They take a bulldozer and they try to cut a line of a vegetation out so that the fire might stop there. Only problem is you've got Santa Ana winds that are going to blow the fire right over it. But they try. It's one of the techniques they need to use. Take the underbrush out. Take the trees out of the way. Rob the fire of fuel. No, the environmentalists gave it fuel. And then they're going to bitch about the fire and say it's the fault of climate change. It has nothing to do with climate change. It has everything to do with the way you start a fire is with little stuff first, and that causes bigger stuff to burn. And it's like, well, to put it bluntly, God is starting a massive campfire. The tinder's all there. All he's got to do is light it. You people don't even think. You have no concept of what the outcome of your irrational thinking about the planet is going to cause. What kind of an outcome are you looking for? You can't have it both ways. Take it one step further. PG&E shuts off the electricity. Now, Elon Musk is warning Californian Tesla drivers they better have their cars charged up because the power might get shut off. Hello. What happens if you got a long commute or a lengthy one? Is your car going to have enough electricity in it to get you to work and back that day while the power's out and maybe till the next day? And then what do you do when it runs out? You got nowhere to charge it. Can't have electric cars without electricity, and you can't have electricity without PG&E. But you got to shut PG&E off so you don't have wildfires, which are going to burn everything up anyway, so what difference does it make? It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It is the most, irrational, and people my age especially, you'd think they'd know better, but I know a lot of them that don't. They think that they're going to stay young by staying hip and cool and up to date with the newest bullshit. Irrational thinking. Oh, I can't think like I thought when I was younger and saw everything working. No, I have to change things all the time in order to stay young. No, you don't. In order to stay young, you have to stay on top of the world and realize what's going on and see things for what they are and get rid of the phony crap. I'm sorry that my back set is backwards. I forgot to mirror the camera, and I'm not going to do this over again because this isn't scripted. In case anyone noticed. Over there it says, here's the thing. And behind me it says Estophagy Productions. And over here it says, long live WELBDBJ Radio. And even though it looks like I'm putting up my left hand, I'm putting up my right hand. Okay? Yeah. Well. So, how did that work out for you? Okay, they shut off the power. You can't charge your phone or your laptop or any number of other things that need charging nowadays. Now, I had to do this because I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been listening to all the crap that's going on out there, and I'm not going to address the subject of impeachment. The fact that I even said it is giving it more notice than it needs. All right? More notice than it deserves. So enough about that. My question is, to all you people who are old enough to know better and went along with this environmentalist wacko crap, how did that work out for you? I'm sure I could come up with more examples if I really thought about it, but those two really stand out. They really do. Because, even the recycle people at the trash hauling company that works for the city of Lorain tells us, don't put the shopping bags in the recycle bin. They clog up the conveyor belt. Give me a freaking break. What are we supposed to do with those? That you can't burn them because they form toxic gases. Now, I know I'm back on the subject of plastic and paper again, but that thought just occurred to me. Like I say, this isn't scripted. This isn't something that I wrote down ahead of time. I've been thinking about it a lot, but I haven't written it down. I'm not wired to a paper here. That's why I can look at you. Tell you what, how naive you've been over the years. I'm all for a great environment. I have no problem with I want a clean yard. I want a clean street. I want clean water. I want clean air. And we have it. The planet does not have a life. The planet is a planet. It's going to do what it's going to do. And has been doing it for over 4 billion years. There's nothing we can do to change that. Like George Carlin said, the planet isn't going anywhere. We are. We have to adapt to what the planet does, not the other way around. It doesn't adapt to us. We adapt to it. We do not cause the planet to heat up or cool down in and of ourselves. We can't do it. We're very vain if we think we can. The planet, however, could decide to change in such a way as to eliminate our ability to live on it. And there's nothing we can do about it. And it's not going to happen in 5 years or 10 years or 50 years or 100 years. It could happen in 10 minutes for all we know, or it could happen in 1,000 years. We don't know. And anybody out there who claims to know, well, okay, so should we call you God? I don't think so. So that's the question I have for all you people out there. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have anything to say about it, you can contact me on Facebook at heresdathing.com Facebook page, or email at hdt2010@roadrunner.com. DPR the man, that's who I am. Have a good day, have a good life, and check it out. I'll be back.